How do I tell my daughter about a friend's generosity? With a note from Dad. Hi, Avery. I want to talk to you about Cyrus's generosity. In 2004, I visited Cyrus Mistry in Florida. He invited me to spend a week with him. He was a professional and I was a student. I learned a lot from being around someone like him who was having a lot of success. At the end of the trip, I asked him to pay for my plane ticket. He had mentioned paying for this in an earlier conversation, but might not have meant for it to be taken literally. He seemed surprised I asked, but ultimately did pay for it. He could have easily said no or backed out, but he was kind enough to pay. I have always remembered that act of generosity. In life, it is rewarding to be generous with friends, and people remember the way you make them feel. Your generosity can create good feelings which last years. I am grateful for Cyrus's generosity and friendship. I love you. Love, Dad. So I wrote this note because 20 years ago now, a buddy of mine had invited me down to Florida. I was in Michigan. I was studying for a professional exam, and it was great to spend a week with him. And he might not have realized it when he had initially invited me down there, but he said, yeah, come on down. I'll pay for the ticket. And then when it was time to leave, I asked for him to reimburse me. And I could tell he might not have remembered that, or he was surprised I asked, but ultimately he did. And I just remember thinking like, wow, that was so baller of him to do that. He didn't, freak out. And he was such a gentleman about it that it left an impression on me. And now 20 years later, I'm writing a note about that to my daughter because I wanted her to know he is a stand-up guy. And I remembered that. And I want her to remember that too. And when you do nice things for people that you care about, that you're close with, those things make a big impression. And my friend Cyrus is an amazing guy, and I am grateful for his generosity and his friendship. And I wanted to share that lesson with my daughter, and that is today's note from Dad.